Emma thought it would never end. Those emotional swings that lifted her up to the place where she could almost hear her loving husband's voice, and then dropped her straight down into a dark, terrifying abyss. Right now, it felt like she was at the top again. Her husband wasn't beside her, and Emma braced herself for another fall, but nothing happened. She waited a moment, then tried to open her eyes. A sharp light and instant pain. Something around her beeped and flashed, and in the next second a face leaned over her. Emma shut her eyes again. She realized she was in a hospital, that people were rushing around her, and that she wasn't falling anymore. Strangely, she couldn't understand what she was doing here, or how she had gotten here. She and Cole had been driving. Then he said he needed to step out for something. Emma couldn't remember what exactly he needed. He got out. She kept driving, and then, while going downhill toward their neighborhood, the steering wheel stopped responding. Yes, she remembered the panic, turning the wheel, and the car ignoring her completely. Then she slammed her foot on the brake, and everything went black. She couldn't even remember whether the car had actually stopped. Emma groaned. A male voice spoke beside her. Hey, it's gonna ease up. Just breathe. Little Sophie sat hidden in her favorite spot. She knew, and Grandma had told her 100 times, that if hospital management ever saw her here, Grandma would be fired. And then there would be no sweets, no cute new hair bows, because Grandma's tiny Social Security check barely covered the essentials. Sophie often thought, if only all those mysterious essentials, the ones she never actually saw, could disappear, then Grandma's money would definitely be enough for ribbons and treats. And maybe they wouldn't have to come work at Riverside County Hospital every day. But Sophie liked it here. She had already decided that when she grew up, she would become a doctor and save everyone. She had been watching that lady in the room for days. The woman was alone in the room, so hiding was easy. Today the lady finally woke up. Nurses rushed in, but Sophie hid well. No one would find her unless Grandma noticed she was gone. Then she'd be in trouble. Just yesterday Grandma had scolded her. Sophie, what were you doing on the 3rd floor? The girl pretended she was chewing something and not listening, but she still had to come up with an excuse. Grandma, I was walking, and somehow, boom, I ended up on the 3rd floor, and turning around and going back down was too hard. Grandma asked sternly, but it's so interesting there, so pretty, Sophie muttered. One more time, and you're staying home to prepare for school. That's it. Discussion over. Sophie huffed in frustration. All the interesting things were on the 2nd floor anyway, and the woman she was hiding behind now was also on the 2nd floor, and that woman's situation was strange. She had been asleep for several days, and her husband kept visiting. But he wasn't sad. He looked excited. He kept telling someone on the phone, just wait just a little more. I'm about to be rich. Sophie didn't like him at all, and just now she saw him again. He didn't stay long. He didn't even look happy that his wife woke up. He just grimaced and walked out. When everyone finally left, Sophie slipped out too. She needed to show up in front of Grandma. Otherwise, Grandma would start yelling again. Grandma was mopping the hallway. She looked up, saw Sophie, and smiled. Go outside for a bit. The weather's beautiful. But don't leave the hospital grounds. Okay. Sophie skipped outside. Here she could walk freely without being noticed. She loved sitting in the farthest corner of the hospital park. People almost never went there. Suddenly, she heard a man's voice. I don't know what happened. Did I wake her up or what? And what exactly do you want me to do? How? Sophie pressed her back against a tree. The voice sounded very familiar. She leaned out carefully, and yes, it was him, the same man, the husband of the woman who had woken up today. Why was he so angry? Shouldn't he be happy she's getting better? All right, fine. I'm waiting. I'm in the hospital park by the pond, he said into his phone. Sophie decided she absolutely had to see the person that man was talking to. She felt like a real detective. She didn't have to wait long. Barely half an hour later, a young woman walked into that quiet corner of the hospital park. Sophie even gasped to herself. The woman was stunningly beautiful. But despite her beauty, Sophie instantly felt she didn't want to know her any closer. The man rushed to kiss her, but the woman said, "Let's stick to business. Everything else later." Sophie froze. She could tell something bad was happening. "Here," the woman said. I couldn't make her stay asleep. Put this into her 4. By morning you'll be free. That's going too far, the man whispered. She cut him off coldly. What's worse is living off someone else's money and never getting to touch it. But if you don't want to do it, fine. Keep living with her. I'll find a real man with real money faster than you can blink. Alyssa, come on, stop. I'll do it. I'll do everything you said, he murmured. Sophie slowly backed away and then ran. She was terrified. Her knees were shaking. She hid for a while in the small janitor's closet where the mops were stored. When the hospital finally calmed down a little, she slipped out. She knew she shouldn't go back to that room, but she felt drawn there like a magnet. Grandma wasn't nearby. She was doing her rounds, so Sophie carefully made her way to the door. The woman inside wasn't sleeping anymore. Sophie thought she actually looked much better with her eyes open. She was about to quietly close the door when the woman noticed her. "Hi," the patient said weakly, offering a faint smile. Sophie was a polite girl, so she couldn't just run away. "Hello," she answered softly. She stepped inside and closed the door behind her. "What are you doing here?" the woman asked gently. Sophie walked closer. "My grandma works here, cleaning floors, to make sure we have enough money for everything. I come with her sometimes, but she doesn't know I'm here. If she finds out, oh, she'll definitely scold me." "Does she treat you badly?" the woman asked. "Oh, no, she's great," Sophie said quickly. The woman smiled again, and Sophie suddenly felt very sorry for her. She could tell the woman was good. But her husband, Sophie couldn't forget what she'd heard. "How do you feel?" Sophie asked quietly. The woman, Emma, smiled. She liked the little girl already. A bit better. Still really weak. But the doctor said everything is fine and will pass. "Are you getting tired? Want to sleep?" Emma asked. "Not yet, but I think I'll be sleeping a lot anyway. If I were you, I wouldn't sleep tonight. At all. Especially not tonight." Emma looked at her with surprise. "Why?" "I can't tell you everything, but you definitely shouldn't sleep. Your husband is planning something bad." Emma wanted to say Cole would never do such a thing, that he loved her, that their family was fine, but she didn't even get the chance. The little girl had already run out of the room. Emma frowned. Such a sweet-looking child, and yet such unpleasant things, she says. Well, maybe she would forget this conversation. And most likely, Emma wouldn't even see that girl again. Emma dozed for a short while, then heard the door open. She opened her eyes and smiled. "Cole!" Her husband hugged her abruptly and just as quickly stepped back, dropping into the chair against the wall. "So, how are you feeling, Em?" She wished he'd sit closer. She wanted to hold his hand. She sighed. "I'm still trying to understand what happened." And then she noticed something odd. Cole kept brushing invisible dust off his clothes. He only did that once before years ago, after he disappeared for 3 days with friends at some cabin. And Emma was still not convinced it had been a cabin. "Well, the worst part is behind you," he said quickly. I gotta run. I'll stop by later." "Cole, are you hiding something from me?" He actually flinched. Seriously? You're still groggy from the meds. What would I even hide from you?" She stared at him. "What, Cole? I really need to go." He snapped and walked out. He didn't even kiss her. Emma frowned. "What is going on? The man who loves me so much, acting like this?" She couldn't sleep anymore. She kept thinking, replaying everything, analyzing his behavior, something she had never done before, and nothing good was coming out of it. What did that little girl mean? Could Cole really be trying to take over her business? They talked about it once or twice. He hinted. She shut the topic down every time. And now it felt like everything was moving exactly toward that, especially with her being sick, the perfect excuse. Emma pressed the call button. A nurse appeared almost instantly. "Could you please ring my phone? Just for a few minutes. I need to make a very important call." She didn't even feel sleepy anymore. Just stared at the ceiling, thinking that maybe she shouldn't have caused so much fuss. Worried everyone for nothing. Cole couldn't be planning anything bad. Money? Sure. Who doesn't care about money? The door opened quietly and almost immediately closed. But Emma caught the silhouette slipping inside. Someone was approaching her bed. She narrowed her eyes just a little, enough to make them think she was asleep. The silhouette paused, then moved toward the four-stand. Another second, and the lights flicked on. Cole stood by the four-stand, frozen, a syringe in his shaking hand. "What are you doing?" Emma's voice broke. From behind the curtain, 2 men stepped out. One of them carefully removed the syringe from Cole's fingers. When Emma was told what substance it contained and what it would have done, she almost fainted again. "No, he couldn't. Mrs. Emerson, I'm sorry, but it's true," one of the officers said. "You wouldn't have woken up in the morning. Your heart would have simply stopped in your sleep. Your husband already confessed during questioning and explained where he got it." Honestly, Emma no longer cared. She only asked out of formality, "Do you know a woman named Alyssa Simmons?" Emma's eyes widened. "Yes. She's a distant relative. She lived with me for a while until I helped her get settled here." "Well," the officer hesitated. "She's your husband's accomplice and his girlfriend." Girlfriend? Everything clicked in Emma's mind at once. Finally, everything made perfect sense. "I understand," Emma said quietly. "Thank you. And please, no leniency." "That's not all," the officer added. "Your husband tampered with your car himself. He drove with you just far enough. He knew that stretch of road had no sharp turns or steep slopes where the car could break down completely." Emma closed her eyes. She didn't want to hear anything else. She was discharged from the hospital 2 weeks later. When she arrived at her empty house, she walked through the rooms slowly. Every corner reminded her of the life she'd shared with him. Emma stepped outside, took a long breath, and called a cab. The doctor at Riverside County Hospital even stood up when he saw her. "Did something happen?" he asked. "Not exactly," Emma replied. "Tell me, do you have a cleaning lady here, a grandmother, who brings her granddaughter to work? Did they cause trouble? If so, please don't blame them. In fact, I want to thank them. The little girl warned me about everything." "Oh," the doctor nodded. "In that case, let's find them." An hour later, Emma stood in front of a small old house in a quiet neighborhood. It was tiny, worn by life, but well kept and warm. She knocked. The door opened, and there she was, the same little girl. "Hi," Sophie said shyly. "Hello," Emma smiled. The child's eyes lit up. "So, you didn't go to sleep that night?" "No," Emma said, "and I came to thank you. I even brought a cake. Will you make me some tea?" "Of course. Come in. Grandma will be happy to meet you, though I didn't tell her anything. Maybe we shouldn't, but okay, come on." Of course, Grandma found out everything anyway. She wasn't the kind of woman who could be fooled. Emma apologized, begging her not to scold Sophie. "Oh, no, of course not," Grandma Martha said. She's just like her parents were. Couldn't stay silent when something wrong was happening. They lost their lives because of that. Stepped in to protect a young girl from troublemakers. Emma lowered her head. "I'm so sorry for your loss." "And Sophie," Emma continued softly, "she saved my life. I owe her more than I can say. So if you don't mind, I'd like to be part of her life. Help her. Show her the world. Support her with school, too." Grandma Martha wiped her eyes. "Oh, honey, why would I mind? I'd be grateful. We have no other family left. If you want to become our family, we'd only be happy." Emma couldn't help it. She hugged them both, Grandma and Sophie, at once. Later, they all took a trip to the ocean together. They moved into Emma's large house. And on September 1st, they proudly walked Sophie to her first day at a private academy. A completely new life for all three of them.